Realms of the Gods is a 1v1 card game based on the Siralim series, where each player picks a specialization, a player class of sorts, then together they draft creatures and spells, and form the best deck they can to battle it out. You win the game by reducing the opponent's health to 0, usually by attacking them with your creatures. Or, if your opponent runs out of cards in their deck twice, then tries to draw cards. To eventually accomplish these, you spend essence to summon creatures, equip them, and use them to destroy your opponents and protect yourself in turn. In this game, your creatures' turns are separate from your own turns, and the flow of these turns is determined by this board, the timeline. This arrow, the current turn marker, will travel clockwise through the timeline, and whenever it lands on a standee, that player or creature will take their turn. After taking their turn, that standee will be delayed by the amount of spaces shown in the timeline's center reference. For a creature, that means 10 minus their speed stats, to a minimum of 5. For a player, the amount will be anywhere from 5 to 16 spaces, depending on how many creatures they have in play, which is represented by these little hearts in the reference. Two standees can never take up the same space in the timeline. If you're moving a standee to an occupied space, simply delay it to the next free space. This delay can be handled automatically in almost every case by pressing the corresponding button in the timeline reference. If a card effect tells you to advance a creature, that's the opposite of delay. As shown on this arrow here, you move them counterclockwise instead, causing them to take their turn sooner. On a player's turn, they start by drawing 2 cards from their deck, and optionally converting one from their hand into essence by putting it in the essence area. Cards in the essence area can then be spent to pay for any essence costs, normally to play cards. Unless said otherwise in their effects, all cards are worth 1 essence each. On the first turn of the first player, they skip the draw 2, convert 1 step. Once that initial step is out of the way, the player will perform up to 2 actions from the following lists: draw, convert, summon a creature, equip an artifact, use a perk, or prepare up to 2 spell gems. You can pick 2 different actions or 2 of the same. We'll go through these in order. Draw means draw the top card of your deck. The first time each game that you try to draw, but your deck is empty, shuffle your discard into a new deck, then draw from there. The second time you draw with an empty deck, you automatically lose the game. Discarding the top card of your deck can also trigger the deck reshuffle, but not the game over. The same is true for channeling, which means converting the top card of your deck. With the convert action, you convert a card from your hand by putting it in the essence area. This action can also convert one of your creatures in play instead. Just put them in the essence area and get rid of anything else on them. This is also true for the convert at the start of the turn. Essence cards are usually the best ones to convert, as they have no other purpose, and usually give you some benefit from being used as essence. To summon a creature, you spend essence from your essence area equal to its cost, then place the creature in one of your free creature slots. If you have none, you cannot summon. You should convert one of them before that. When you summon a creature, its standee must be placed in the timeline, delayed a number of spaces equal to 8 minus their speed, relative to the current turn, with no minimum. To equip an artifact, just slot it under one of your in-play creatures, once again paying the cost if it has one. When you equip an artifact, execute any unequipped text on it. Artifacts then stay on your creatures unless stated otherwise, during which your creatures will have additional stats, as shown at their left. Perks are cards unique to your specialization. Ignore the number with a book for now. To use a perk, well, first make sure the perk can be used as an action. Some perks can only be used as a reaction, as a response to whatever condition is specified on the card. But when you do, simply follow the effects described on it. Some perks with the sustain keyword stay in play in the active effects area for a while, as described. Some are even permanent. Spell gems can only be cast by creatures, and specifically by creatures that have the same class as the spell gem. But before you do, you must prepare them on your player turn. As an action, you can prepare up to 2 spell gems into this area, up to a max of 6. You can discard any prepared ones you don't want anymore during your player turn. The number at the top right, with a gem under it, is the number of charges, meaning the amount of times the spell can be cast before it's discarded. So put a counter on it. Spell gems cost no essence to prepare, only to cast. Now on to creature turns, but first, let's see the creature card itself. At the left, we have the creature's base stats: health, attack, intelligence, defense, and speed. They also have a class, a race under the name, and a trait which is usually active while they're in play. Now, on creature turns, they can either attack, defend, taunt, or cast a prepared or instant spell gem. Most of the time, after doing their action, they are delayed on the timeline by 10 minus their speed, to a minimum of 5. A creature can normally attack any other creature or player, even if they're allies. Attacking deals direct damage equal to the creature's attack stats, and all direct damage is affected by defense and evasion, and rolls a damage modifier die. Let's go through those one at a time. First, roll the damage modifier die. The sides with swords on them increase the base damage by 1, 2, or 3. This side is a chip damage roll, which doesn't really increase the base damage, but means that it will deal a minimum of 1 if it hits, no matter how much it's reduced by defense and other effects. After that, we check for evasion. If the target has higher speed than the attacker, then the target may roll some of these evasion dice, equal to the speed difference between them. If any of these dice roll a success, then the attack does not hit. Then we reduce the damage by the target's defense, and any remaining damage after that is dealt to the target. Let's take a look at a couple examples. This Blood Crusader is attacking this Unicorn Vivifier. It rolls a 2 on the damage die, making for 6 incoming damage. The Unicorn has 1 more speed than the Crusader, so it gets to roll 1 evasion die. But it fails, so the attack will hit. The Unicorn takes damage equal to the incoming 6 minus the 3 defense it has, meaning it takes 3 damage. This Asura Gutslasher is attacking the Apis Endurer, and it has the Savage buff. Creatures with Savage roll 1 more damage die when attacking. Now let's say the Asura rolls the 2 dice, and both of them roll chip damage. This doesn't increase the base damage, so that's still a total of 4. The Apis Endurer is the same speed as the Asura, so has no evasion, but it has a whopping 7 defense, which would normally reduce the 4 incoming damage to 0. But for each chip damage roll, the attack will deal 1 irreducible damage. So the Apis takes 2 damage. Players don't have a defense or a speed stat, so they normally can't evade attacks and take full damage from them. The other type of damage is indirect damage. This damage often comes from traits, spells, or perks, and does not roll any damage dice, and is unaffected by defense or evasion. When a creature defends, it gains the defending buff. Buffs are positive status effects, represented by these green tokens, that remain on your creature until stated otherwise. Debuffs are negative status effects, represented by these red tokens instead. In the case of defending, it acts as 2 extra defense, but only lasts 1 turn. Similarly, when a creature taunts, it gains the taunting buff. While a creature is taunting, its allies, including the player, cannot normally be chosen as targets for enemy actions or effects. But like defending, this only lasts 1 turn. Both defending and taunting disappear at the start of that creature's turn. Creatures can only have up to 3 buffs and up to 3 debuffs. When a creature would gain its 4th buff or 4th debuff, the creature's owner can choose which of the 4 to get rid of. Stat boosts, represented by dice on the right of a creature card, are another way that creatures can be enhanced. When an effect says the creature, for example, gains speed, or gains a speed boost, put a die on that stat boost slot, or increase the die if it's already there. The creature's total speed here, for example, would now be 6, 3 from its base stats, 1 from the artifact stats, and 2 from the speed boosts. Boosts are permanent unless some effect explicitly removes them, and each creature can have up to 6 boosts on each stat. Lastly, there's the cast spell action. A creature can cast any of your prepared spell gems that matches its class. When it does, you must spend the essence, spend 1 charge on that spell gem, delay the creature, then perform the effects. Spell gems have their own base delay, replacing the usual 10. For example, if a creature casts Dense Fog, it is delayed not by 10 minus speed, but by 15 minus speed. This is handled automatically if you press the cast button on the prepared spell gem. It is important to note that casting a spell gem, even if out of turn, always delays the caster. This is not the case for any of the other creature actions. Some spell gems have the reaction keyword in pink, and this means they're not used with this cast spell action. They are used as a response to something described in the card's text, but still delay the caster as usual. Another pink keyword that appears on some spell gems is instant. Instant spell gems do not need to be prepared before they're cast. You can cast them from your hand instead, and only then prepare them if they have any charges left after that. When a creature has damage on it equal to their max health, it's killed, and moves to that player's graveyard. Don't forget to remove their standee from the timeline. Creatures do not lose their artifact or stat boosts when killed, but they do lose everything else on them, like status effects or damage. Creatures in your graveyard can be spent as essence, just like if they were in the essence area. If you do, discard their artifact and anything else on them. But if your cards have effects that can revive creatures, then you can do that instead. When a creature is revived, put it back into play with whatever is attached to it. Put its standee back on the timeline with the same delay as if you were summoning it, 8 minus speed. And that's it. Those are all the basics of how Realms of the Gods works. Continue summoning creatures, enhancing them, debilitating them, hitting them hard, and eventually hitting your opponent hard until someone's HP reaches 0 or someone decks out twice and tries to draw. If you have any questions, definitely check out the rulebook linked in-game, or join my Discord and ask around. For the start of game setup, check out the next video in this little series.